Chapter 1. The best name for me. Just because someone gives you a name doesn't mean that it's the best name for you. It's just their opinion. It's not a fact. My parents named me Flory. Well, Flory Alicia Bell when I was born, but now I am 10 years old and about to graduate from the 5th grade. I made up my mind and I want to be called Little Flower. That name's best for me, and that's that. Don't get me wrong, my parents are pretty smart. Flory means flower, and I love flowers, but I believe you should just get right to the point. Don't make people guess what you are talking about. Say what you mean and mean what you say. I have to keep telling myself that. At my school, everybody wants me to be what they want me to be. Lots of pressure here at Northrop B. McKinley Elementary School, but I can handle it. Funny how people just appreciate flowers and don't care about size, shape, color, or anything else about them. People care about that stuff, though, when it comes to other people. That is the case here at McKinley, where the kids care about every little thing about you. If one thing is a little different about you, even if you can't help it, they go nuts. That's why I am sitting here in detention in room 103 now, instead of sitting in my art class. I never, ever miss art class. But this morning, I lost it. Pauline Pfizer and her little gang of goons knocked the school books out of my new little friend Soli's hands for the 4th time this week, and I just lost it. I marched up to Pauline, looked her in her eyes, and I said to her, if you knew what that felt like, you would not do it. She rolled her eyes at me and snarled, "Back up, flower thing, before I hurt you." Then she took her book bag off her shoulder like she was going to fight me. I don't know what got into me, but I dove in, grabbed her book bag from the ground, and took off running as fast as my legs could go. I could hear all kinds of footsteps behind me. Some kids were for me, some were against me, but I was on a mission. I felt like I had deer feet, and I was darting and turning curves and moving like a jackrabbit. From behind, Pauline was yelling bad words at me, but she couldn't catch me. I jetted past the C, the B, and the A wing, where the main office is, and I headed for the dumpsters behind the cafeteria. When I got close, I unzipped her book bag so that everyone could see me. Then I tossed that bag, just like the Roadrunner would, into the open dumpster. Pauline's papers began to fly and she screamed like somebody in a scary movie. She dropped to the ground crying. It sounded like she said, "I can't get it dirty. I can't." At first, nobody said anything, but then all the kids began to point and laugh at her. Some kids that Pauline had picked on before even clapped. The 5th grade boys were making animal sounds and giving me the "you go girl" nod and the Tarzan-like beat on their chests like I had done something great. Pauline's goon squad didn't know what to do. A couple of them tried to act like they didn't even know her. One girl got down on one knee and started to fan Pauline like in church. The other girls just froze like popsicles. For a minute, I joined the group who just froze, but then my stomach started to hurt real bad. I wanted to throw up, and I wanted to crumple up on the ground and holler like Pauline. It was the worst morning of my whole life, and school hadn't even started yet. On any other school day, there would have been tons of teachers coming out there to keep us kids from killing each other. But no, not today. For some reason, there wasn't even one grown-up in sight. No parents, no teachers, no janitors, no campus aides. I bet even the insects that flew by were kid insects. Then I realized that what I hated more than anything else was that this was my fault, and I had to fix it quickly. I kind of tried to pray under my breath and kind of begged God to help me. Shoot, I told God that I would do anything if he would help me. I don't know if I really meant anything, but I said it because I was desperate. That was our vocabulary word for last week, desperate. Just then, I saw Lorenzo Puckett and his best friend Jose come around the corner. Lorenzo had that half smile on his face and a goofy look in his puppy dog eyes, and he floated onto the scene real cool like. Here I am trying to figure out how to fix this problem, and the only sound that I hear is the voice in my mind saying, "That boy is cute. That boy is on a basketball team. That boy asked for my phone number just 49 hours and 32 minutes ago." Maybe, I think, maybe that boy is the answer that I was looking for. I made my lips say, "Please come here, please." And Lorenzo looked around like I might have been talking to somebody else. Then he laughed out loud and headed my way. That was not funny. You should have seen how those McKinley kids cleared the way for Lorenzo. He was the school king, and he not only had my number, but he was coming my way. I held my breath until he got close enough to whisper, "What's up, flower girl?" 1 trillion seconds later, I made my mouth say, "Could you give me a boost so that I can get Pauline's book bag out of the dumpster, please?" Then I quickly added something about losing my mind and throwing the bag in the dumpster myself. I grabbed his hand. He let me lead him to the dumpster. We stopped. He turned around to his fans and shrugged his shoulders like he couldn't help himself. I stopped breathing. Lorenzo was tall enough to look into the dumpster and spot the bag, but getting it out was going to be tricky. I said, "Just give me a boost and I'll go in and get it." At that point, I didn't care what I had to do because I just wanted to prove to myself and everybody else that I was not a monster. Lorenzo thought about it for a minute, and then he said, "Nah, that's not going to work." Then my 5th grade knight in shining armor called for his best bud, Jose, and like kung fu champions, the two of them walked on the edge of the dumpsters, lowered themselves into the garbage with the greatest of ease, and grabbed Pauline's bag and handed it to me. The book bag was a mess, and so was I. Nobody had ever made me feel so special. I managed to squeeze out a "Thank you, Lo," like I knew him well enough to call him by his nickname, and he winked before heading back into the wind. I tried to recover enough to clean off the gook from Pauline's bag before I handed it to her. I apologized and even offered her a hand to help her up. She saw her bag, snatched my hand and the bag, and headed back into the school. On the way, she turned and snarled, "You are dead meat, and don't you forget it." Truer words were never spoken. I knew my daddy was going to find out, and I knew he was going to have a fit. Nothing else to do, I thought, but go on to class and wait for them to call my name over the loudspeaker. It would be at that exact moment that my young life would flash before my eyes and the end would be near. I know that you probably think that I'm exaggerating, but you don't know my parents. You don't know what it's like to live day after day in the house owned by the Right Reverend Lawrence J. Bell, pastor of New Hope First Baptist Church, and his lovely wife Daisy, the smartest first grade school teacher in all of southeastern North Carolina. It's a good thing that I gave Lo my telephone number, or I wouldn't even go home. Not ever. Poor Lo. My parents are going to take away my phone privileges and no telling what else, and my Lo won't even be able to reach me. Man, oh man. And I had planned my own little OPA to make sure that I got to the telephone before my daddy. OPA is Operation Phone Alert. My daddy does not know that I gave our phone number to a boy, and I don't want him to find out. Man, oh man, and good gracious of life. I'm in trouble now. But there's another big old problem too. Soli will go nuts if she can't talk to me at night, because I am the only person at McKinley who understands her pain. Soli is my friend, and I will defend her to the end because she is one of the special ones. When she walked into Miss Field's class last week, everybody tried not to laugh. Then nobody would talk to Soli, and most of the kids didn't even want to look at her. You see, Soli wears these Coke bottle thick glasses, and you can't tell what direction that she's looking in. Then she's got hands that won't open, and one arm is way longer than the other. Both arms are pencil thin, and whenever she gets excited, she just starts to wave her arms, and the kids just fall out laughing or bust a gut trying not to laugh. So I made up my mind that Soli was going to be my friend, and I was going to defend her to the end. That's how I am, okay? Wow. I don't know how Sully or Lo will survive without me. Man, oh man. How could one 98-pound 10-year-old get herself into such a big mess and fall in love with the cutest boy on the planet on the same Friday morning? Go figure.